Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD. And this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw, and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs. Hello, beautiful sisters. So pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, and let's have a chat. Because this week I've been thinking a lot about fitting in, not belonging. They're different things. Belonging is being accepted for who you are, and fitting in is changing who you are to be accepted. I'm going to say that again. Belonging is being accepted for who you are, and fitting in is changing who you are to be accepted. And I think for much of my life, I've confused the two. Because if I'm really honest, I don't think I ever truly fitted in. Not at school, not in friendship groups, not in business, not in the spiritual world, not even sometimes in the women's spaces that I've created. I've always felt a little bit on the edge, a little bit different, a little bit like everyone else got the memo and I somehow missed it. So this week, I want to tell you a little bit about more. I can't even get my words out this morning. Drink more of my tea, that might help. Drinking Soul Balm this morning from Yogi Tea with some local honey for my hay fever. And the yogi message is breathe in peace, breathe out blessings to all. Breathe in peace, breathe out blessings to all. I haven't wanted to bless everyone this week, if I'm really honest. I've been one angry mofo for about 10 days now. And I've been really sitting with what is that all about? What's been going on underneath the surface, really? And it's been a hard revelation. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about it because I know, because I speak to the women in my community, that I'm not the only one. Many of us are feeling this way right now. And we've got this super blue full moon coming up and tomorrow, Saturday. And that energy is really lifting this kind of like, what the fuck do I really want? Where am I really going? Is this my life? Is this really where I'm headed? Is this what I want in my life? So we also asked this question in the Sacred Sister community. 3,500 women in there. We have 300 spaces to fill for our summer gathering. And we asked the question, what stops you? What stops you from stepping in? What stops you from saying yes to being there? And we gave them a few examples, a few reasons, I need childcare, I don't have the money, I don't feel like I deserve that time. Like these are all things that are real for us as women. Kids are on school holidays, they're all real. But the one that came out the most is I'm worried I won't fit in. Wow, even just saying that just brings up the tears because it's like, fit into what? Fit into whose ideal? When I was little, and I now know that I've grown up with an ADHD brain, right? But when I was little, I never fitted in. I wasn't part of the cool kids. I wasn't part of the geeky kids. I kind of learnt to traverse this line between them all. Like if I couldn't quite fit in, I could just about manage enough that I was okay wherever I went. I was okay in this party. I was okay in that party, but I never got chosen. I was never the one who got chosen for netball, even though I was the best goal shooter out of all of them. They weren't playing tactically. It was about whether I fitted in. I was always bigger. I was always the big kid. I was always, my mum was a hairdresser, so I always had funky hair from a young age, whatever I wanted. I was always very arty, creative, I was always making something. I was a real bookworm. I always had my head in a book. And that just didn't really fit into the norm. As I grew up, became a teenager, I didn't drink. I wasn't interested in alcohol. I didn't smoke. I didn't want to smoke. When I became into my 20s, I still didn't fit into that box, that space. Just realizing I've still got paint on my hands, so it's still painting pots with a Cavendish. So I just didn't fit in. And somehow I can remember spending a lot of time in my bedroom, feeling quite lonely, a lot of time on my own, a lot of time isolating from the world. I didn't have the same kind of family life that other people had. My mum and dad are still together now. It's debatable whether they should be some days, but 51 years later, they're still together. And yet my life looked very different. My dad was a truck driver, so he wasn't really there. He wasn't very present as a dad. He was working all the time. My mum was a hairdresser. She was working. A lot of my kids' friends around didn't have that same setup. So I just felt different. And my brother came along, there was a 5 year gap between us. That was different. Most of my kid friends had brothers and sisters that were closer in age. I was just different. It just didn't fit in. And maybe you felt that too. Maybe you felt that quiet pull from child times because if you've spent years trying to figure out what version of yourself people wanted, that's because you weren't accepted just as you were when you were little. When we're not accepted as we are, we try to change, remember, belonging. If we're not belonging because we're not accepted by people, we try to become the version that other people want. Trying to be a better mother, a better wife, a better business owner, a better woman, trying to be enough, trying to be not too much, trying to be acceptable, trying to not upset anybody, trying to not stand out too much. When you really stop and think about it, who are we trying to fit in with? Because the rules seem to change every 5 minutes. 1 minute, we're told to age naturally. I mean, this, if you're looking at me, this is my face, no makeup, no nothing. That's just how I look at 50, nearly 51. I've kind of stopped. I don't have the energy to put my eyebrows on every day, even though they're just non-existent, especially in the heat. It just ends up running down my face. Why am I going to bother? This is just who I am. So 1 minute we're told to age naturally, the next we're being sold anti-aging creams. 1 minute we're told to embrace our bodies, the next we're being told how to shrink them. 1 minute we're told to be ambitious, the next we're criticized for not being at home enough. 1 minute we're told to be feminine, the next we're told that we're weak if we are. The goalposts are constantly moving, and yet somehow we keep chasing them. Why? I think because at our core, we all want the same thing. We want to belong. We want to feel loved. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel safe. And somewhere along the line, we learned that acceptance came through conformity. That if we just got it right, the right body, the right clothes, the right image, the right opinions, the right career, the right relationship, you know, then we'd finally arrive at what destination? Then we'd finally feel enough. What the hell is enough anyway? It's a bullshit measurement. It doesn't mean anything. So what if all of that's the lie? What if the problem isn't that we're failing to fit in? What if the problem is we're trying to fit into something that was never designed for us in the first place? And I think this becomes really interesting in midlife, especially for women, because menopause has a funny way of stripping away the bullshit. It's almost like the body starts a rebellion. The things you tolerated become completely intolerable. The masks get heavier, the pretending gets exhausting, the people pleasing starts to hurt, the compromises feel bigger. And suddenly you're asking questions you may never ask before. Who am I actually doing this for? Whose life am I living? Whose expectations am I trying to meet? Who decided what a woman of my age should look like, or act like, or wear, or believe? And I think that's why I've been angry. That's why I've been angry in these last few weeks, because I just want it to be okay to be me. Some days I'm a grumpy motherfucker, and other days I'm up there with the lark. Some days I've got social capacity, other days I don't really have social capacity, but I show up anyway. And I've laughed recently because we've now got this beautiful cafe and we have a lot of youngsters that kind of work for us. They're youngsters, 15, 16-year-olds. And they're like, there's no way you're 50. And every time I hear it, part of me wonders, what exactly am I supposed to look like? What did you expect? Because if we're honest, society has sold us some really strange stories about aging, especially for women. Men apparently become distinguished. Women become invisible. Men become silver foxes, and women are expected to apologize for every grey hair and wrinkle. And yet, the women I know in their 50s are some of the most vibrant, courageous, powerful women that I've ever met. And beyond, 60s, 70s, 80s. We have women in our community in their 90s who are just amazing women. And they're finally questioning everything. What I see is that they're finally saying no. They're finally taking up space. They're finally becoming themselves. And it isn't because they became something different. It's because they let go of all the ideals of what other people thought they should be. So, menopause for me has been a journey because I had a hysterectomy at 40 and I thought really naively, I now know, I thought I was done. I was done. I've had my menopause. It's there, it's done. And then at 44, somehow the wheels kind of fell off, and I had to really begin to understand myself more. And then there's the journey that you go on around all the ways that perhaps you, I felt manipulated in my life by all of those things, by the media, by social media, by the ways that I felt I had to try and fit into this society. A society that I was never going to really fit into, let's face it. And so turning 50, 48, 49, 50, and I feel now beyond that, nearly 51, it isn't about age. I mean, that's irrelevant. But I recognize the fact of what happens for most of us and what we're trying to belong to is ourselves. The only reason I've really felt angry and lonely for this past week is because I've left me. I'm working too hard. I'm not resting enough. I've not given myself what I need. I've not really eaten well. Heartburn every day. I'm feeling the overwhelm and the stress. I'm saying I can't do this anymore and nobody's listening. I've overridden my own boundaries. I've done all of those things because I'm trying to keep going, to fit in, to do what I need to do. And it's bullshit. Honestly, it really is. And then I think to myself back to my mum at 50. And it's hard because I can't recognize my mum at that age because I'd left home and I was like living, I was 25, I was in the Middle East, I was doing my own thing. I don't remember my mum's menopause. I don't remember anything because I just wasn't there. So that just hit me a little bit because my daughter's 15 and she is still around. And what am I teaching her about this time of life? But I even have men recently who are shocked. Like somebody, there was a guy reading, we've got an article in the paper at the moment about the cafe, and it says, married couple in their 50s. And this guy was just like, "There's no way you're 50." I'm like, when did it even be okay to comment? Like, I mean, that's a nice comment, right? But what do you expect me to look like? I don't get it. I don't get it. you know, and that it's okay to comment on the way we look or the way we dress or what our hair's doing. I had a woman in the other day, beautiful, beautiful woman, and she's just turned 40 and she's going grey and she's like, oh, I just need to start colouring my hair again. I can feel a bit like and it's like, great, if you want to colour your hair, great. If you don't want to colour your hair, don't. Just because somebody else said you'd look better if you coloured your hair. Like, bullshit. Bullshit. Hmm. It's rubbish and it's not okay. It's not okay. So maybe menopause isn't a crisis. Maybe it is a homecoming. I called this year's gathering the homecoming because we're going back to the land that we started on 6 years ago. But actually, the reality for me is it's a homecoming in so many ways. It's a homecoming back to ourselves. It's a homecoming back to what is it to be with nature. It's a homecoming back to sisterhood. It's a homecoming back to the village. Maybe this time it's the moment that we stop trying to fit in. Maybe it's the moment we stop auditioning for freaking every role that we never wanted. Maybe it's the moment we stop asking for permission. And maybe it's the moment that we stop trying to be the bloody good girl, the nice girl, the agreeable girl, the woman who keeps everyone else comfortable, and instead become the woman who is fully, finally comfortable in her own skin. Because here's what I've realized: the women I admire most in life, they're not the women who fit in. Check out your social media. Check out the people that you follow. Check out the people that you listen to, that you aspire to. Are they fitting in? They're the women who know who they are, the women who have stopped apologizing, the women who wear what they want, believe what they want, create what they want, say no when they mean no, say yes when they mean yes, the women who have stopped performing and started living. And maybe that's what this stage of life is really about. Not becoming somebody else, not reinventing yourself, not fixing yourself, but remembering who you were before everybody told you who you should be. Before the media, before the beauty standards. I worked in the beauty industry for 30 years. No wonder I didn't know what it was to not have makeup on every day because that was my expectation. My uniform, my makeup, my hair. I mean, can you imagine now I'd never get a job? Before the expectations, before the labels, before the judgments, the shaming, the boxes, before all the noise. Because perhaps the greatest freedom you can have is in not fitting in. Perhaps the greatest freedom is finally belonging to yourself. And if you're listening today and you've spent your whole life feeling like you don't quite fit, maybe that's because you weren't supposed to. Maybe your job was never to fit into the box. Maybe your job was to break it. And maybe that's exactly what you're doing now. So, sister, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, I don't think I can come to the gathering because I might not fit in, please challenge that bullshit for yourself. You are welcome in our spaces. however you show up, I can tell you that over 6 years of holding gatherings in this way, I've had women show up laughing, crying, scared, fearful. I've had, I don't know how many women try to leg it. They arrive, they're like, whoa, I have to go. If you really have to go, you really have to go. But are you sure? Are you sure? One of my team will tell you quite clearly, she's now on the team for Sacred Sister, and she's the woman who will welcome you when you get there. Oh, that's quite emotional too. Because I don't realize how much we touch people's lives. Oh wait, as I say this morning. I don't realize how much we touch people's lives because it's rare that women get seen the way that we see them. I see you. I really see you. And so when this woman arrived, I caught her as she was kind of coming out of the car park from her car, and I was like, "You okay?" She was like, "No." She said, "My son borrowed my bell tent last year. He put it away. It's now all moldy. I've got nowhere to stay. Like, I just need to go. This isn't for me." And she'd driven all the way down from Kent, and she was like, "I was like, what do you mean? You just have to go. You just have to find a solution. It's okay. We've got some glamping spaces still in the bell tents. Just go and share a bell tent with someone. It's fine." And that's what we did. And her and that sister became lifelong friends. And that's the difference. So please never not come to any of our gatherings or events, our online circles. Never ever come because you're worried you might not fit in. I don't want you to fit in. You're not me. I'm not you. You're an individual, and I will absolutely love you and do love you for who you are. So don't fit in, sister. Your freedom doesn't lie in you fitting in. Your freedom lies in the expression of who you are in your fullest, most emotional, most beautiful, most powerful self. And I want to meet that in the field. So if this calls to you, go check out the homecoming. I'll pop the link down here in the show notes. But please, please never fit in. And if you're young and you're watching this, that goes for you too. You don't have to fit in the box. You are just perfectly perfect as you are. I'm going to see you around the kitchen table next week, I'm sure. But in the meantime, I really want to send you so much love. If this has touched something with you, send it to another sister. If this has touched something in you, come and join us. We've got a circle this coming Monday. We have a free circle the first Monday of every month. Again, you can find it under events on our website. But just know that we're right here. We're right here. And all you have to do is say yes and step in. And you're not saying yes to me. You're saying yes to you. And that right there is harder than anything else. I'll catch you soon, sister. Take care. Laura out.